Hey guys, Adam here. I have been using this iPhone 5S for now 3 days. I want to say that this has been an interesting past 3 days, and I want to tell you my experience. And in another 3 days, in another 4 days, I'll do another video when I'm ending this challenge. So yeah, let's get started. So first of all, how did I get all my data on here? Well, this isn't really sponsored, but I'm just saying, I got this thing called AnyTrans. It's a free app on the App Store, and yeah, I just basically logged in as a guest, and I connect iPhone to iPhone, and then transferred all like my photos and stuff. I know you could say iCloud and stuff, but for whatever reason, it doesn't actually transfer like all the data. So yeah, guys, so I didn't really realize this, but I've been using this a little bit, and my battery life, has been actually pretty bad. So this might not be completely accurate, and this is mostly because I'm at 24%. It's 3:40 p.m. and when I use the Maps app, for whatever reason, it significantly degrades in battery life. Like, I just want to show you. Like, it's okay in most apps. It's been at 24% for a while. But when you get into actually, like, Maps or something like that, then you'll see the significant battery decrease. That's probably why I didn't like the iPhone 6S or something. Look at that. Do you see that? Yeah, you can see significant drop in battery life, but it's been staying at 24% for a while. So that's pretty interesting how it, like, oh my god, okay, how it dies that quick. I mean, how it, dies that quickly. Maybe it's poor battery life. Maybe it's a poor battery, but I don't think so, because I remember having the same problems on my iPhone 5S I had like 3 or 4 years ago, because I used to own an iPhone 5S. So yeah. So the first thing that I'm gonna talk about is the battery life. Now, the battery life is definitely not great. Now, it seems okay. It's 11:45 and it's 85%. But for whatever reason, it drains for me like way later, it drains for me around like 2 or 3 p.m. like really start to drain. I'm at like 50%. And so far today, I have not been using it actually that much, so let's see what my screen time is. Okay, 1 hour and 21 minutes today, so I haven't been using it that much today. And the battery health is okay, so it's not like, it's bad battery health. Now, it doesn't say on here, but like, it's not like bulging really or anything, so it seems, pretty okay. Average iPhone 5S battery life. And, yeah. Now I'm going to talk about the display of this. Now, the display is not great. Now, it's okay for, like, you can't really see any pixels. It's a Retina display. I'm talking about more like the brightness. So I'm going to go into full brightness here. Yeah, this is full brightness, you can see. So I'm going to go into some sunlight. Well, actually, let's just start off with the shade. You can see it's not too bad, and you can see most things at full brightness. But if you turn it down to, like, half brightness, you can't really see it. But it's okay. It's okay in, in shadows and things, under it. But, like, if we go into sunlight, you'll see where this phone really, doesn't do so well. You can barely see it on full brightness. Now, it doesn't seem like, it seems pretty bad, in the sunlight right now, like, but that's just mainly because of the camera. But it is pretty bad, and it's definitely not as bright as my iPhone XR. I believe it gets to about 550 nits compared to my 650 nits on my iPhone XR, so it's a little bit more dim. That's kind of expected. But I was talking about how it's a Retina display. It is a Retina display at 326 ppi, and it looks pretty good. You can't really see any pixels, which is pretty good. And it's, everything's pretty sharp if you zoom in, and if you look at text, you can see it looks pretty sharp, and there's not really a problem with it in everyday use. Now we're going to talk about the biggest thing, which is the specs. Now the specs on here, they're not too bad. Like, you can use them and you can get from point A to point B. You can see I'm loading some apps and it takes a little bit of a long time, but it's definitely usable, and it's not like that bad. Multitasking isn't too bad either. If we go on one app and then we try to switch to another app, here, let's go to here to here. It doesn't like reload or anything. Most apps don't do that. Yeah. So the full specs is an Apple A7 chip with 1 GB of RAM. So compared to my Apple A12 Bionic chip and 3 GB of RAM on my iPhone XR, it's definitely a pretty big difference. And you can play most games and things like that. I haven't really installed that much on here so far. In a week, I'll tell you more about the game performance. But I'm assuming that it's okay. And, it's pretty good. And you can, do most things and loading apps. And, everything's pretty smooth. So, yeah. Another big thing that we're going to talk about is the camera. Now, you might think the camera's pretty bad since this phone is from 2013. It's actually not horrible, and I can get some decent shots. I'll show you some pictures right now. So, here, I'm going to take a photo of, right now of this, or take a photo of this. And you can see it's not too bad, and it's pretty clear. It's not really going to be a problem for most people. If you zoom in, it doesn't look horrible, and you won't really have a problem with the camera. Now, compared to the cameras today that we have, it's definitely not great. I would say it's about average. It's the same camera as the iPhone 6, so you're not losing anything if you buy the iPhone 6 over the iPhone 5S. Actually, I would definitely recommend the iPhone 5S over the iPhone 6, even though it's a little bit smaller. It's much, much cheaper. So, yeah, the thing that we're going to talk about is the speaker. Now, the speaker is one of the low points of this phone, or one of the worst points of this phone. This speaker's not great, and compared to my iPhone XR that I have, it's pretty trash. It's actually really below average. And let me play a YouTube video. See, it takes a while, for these things to load. But by the way, this, even though it's on iOS 12, a lot of apps do still have, dark mode and things like that, which is really, really cool. And you could turn on and off dark mode on, YouTube and things like that. So here, let me just play this.
Yo guys, Jonathan here, and this is a $50 MacBook Pro dummy. So if you're thinking to yourself, why is he sliding that?
See, that's what it sounds like.
Across the table? Do not
you can see
worry,
video watching is actually okay. The video watching is okay, but audio is really, really bad. So, yeah. Now, another thing is connectivity. As you can see, I have my AT&T on here. Now, it shows only 1 bar. It's just because it's not really a big deal because I'm at my house. The connectivity has been about the same as my iPhone XR. It's been maybe a little bit worse. Instead of 100 megabits a second for my Wi-Fi, I'm getting about 75 or so for download, and then for upload, I'm getting about 10 for both of them. So it's not that big of a difference, and you won't really notice it. Even if you go pretty far, it kind of depends on your carrier. If your carrier's really good, you won't really have a problem with it. If your carrier is Sprint or something like that, guys, don't get Sprint, because Sprint has one of the worst services ever. I've never had Sprint, but some of my friends have Sprint, and they hate it, and they've switched to AT&T or Verizon. Those are really, really good. T-Mobile's okay because they're new 5G, and yeah. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the price, and the pricing of this is about, you can actually get it for as low as $40 for 16 gigabytes. I do not recommend 16 gigabytes. I recommend 32 gigabytes or higher. Now, I do have 16 gigabytes because this is my only option, because I got this for free at an e-waste. So, I didn't really want to spend money to, do this actual video. So I just decided to go to the e-waste. And so, you can see capacity, 16 gigabytes. I've installed a few apps and put some photos on here and, did some videos. and I still have about 7 gigabytes free, so it's not like that big of a problem. I bet you could still live with it, but if you want to install a lot of apps, then you should probably go for 32 gigabytes or 64 gigabytes. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one with the iPhone 5S 1 week later. Well, actually, I'm going to do a couple more videos. I'll probably upload this video. I'm, like, probably after another video that I'm going to do, which is the Samsung Galaxy S4 Mini in 2020. So, yeah, stay tuned for that video.